When I was young, the world was young with me. The circles of my innocence glanced away like light on a gentle sea. I left it to the hills and on the playing fields, and when I'm old, I will return and it will be there for me. In 1896, Canon James Cameron Todd founded the new diocesan college, based in the city of Pietermaritzburg, following the closure in 1880 of Pietermaritzburg's Bishop's College. Always seeking a country base where the boys exposed to limitless space and fresh Midland air would grow strong in body and keen of mind. A farmer, Walter Jaffray, generously donated 20 acres at Balgowan, and in 1901 the school took root at its present site. The school was named after St. Michael, the champion of right, overcoming the forces of evil with his great war cry, Quus ut Deus, who but God? Canon Todd, a man of great stature and integrity, whose courage and persistence and whose personal means helped to keep the school alive until well established at Balgowan. Despite the tragedy of war which raged across our land, the school grew strong and fulfilled most of its founders' expectations. He did not confine himself to the classrooms. Captain of the rugby side, he ensured that the school excelled on the playing fields, as well as in academic, cultural and spiritual pursuits. A school grows and matures. Traditions are born, and memories of the past are merely faded photos on the wall. Michaelhouse retains many of these traditions, but is ever mindful of the need to adapt to today's ever-changing world.
It is our aim at Michaelhouse to develop the individual to his full potential, so that when a boy leaves Michaelhouse, he is equipped to meet the society's demands. He will leave Michaelhouse as a boy without prejudice and really be able to play a meaningful role in the society.
The growing years, a time of exploration, where curiosity must be nurtured and the child, soon to be a man, needs to find his strengths and weaknesses. This requires a special place where both the fertile mind of the youth and the need for firm guidance can be balanced in such a way that laughter and excitement reduce the moments of pain and frustration to a dim memory of hard lessons well learned.
As a result, the river cuts through, you get your cut-off development, and eventually your fully developed Oxbow Lake. Here we have
Tradition must be balanced with progress and innovation. The school's audio-visual aids are amongst the most advanced in South Africa.
Having recently returned from a teacher exchange to England, I find that Michaelhouse is well up to date in the use of modern educational technology. These audiovisual aids make teaching and learning much more interesting and enjoyable, and therefore effective, provided, of course, that they are used properly. Audiovisual aids are essentially a backup and not a replacement for the teacher's lesson. And the teacher has a responsibility to select material and medium very carefully. And therefore his preparation is essential in the use of these aids. In my own particular subject, which is history, of course, the video has brought the written word to life.
And when they're coming up here, I want you to concentrate more on the footwork. You know, Mike Little's going to talk about his feet. And when he finishes and says Magnus Milan, you hit your fade, and I want the fade coming through perfectly, okay?
The audiovisual department extends the role of television from the passive to the active.
We've included a closed-circuit television section whereby we can put in videos of what we want the boys to see. National Educational, National Geographic, Encyclopedia Britannica. But I think the most exciting thing is we're going to put out stuff that boys themselves will produce. They will do their own magazine program. They will edit in their own music, and they will be doing their own video jockeying from this room, and they will be able to talk to the people there. And all this switching, mixing, editing completely will be done by boys.
Grab! Right, firstly what we're involved in here is human kinetics. We changed from physical education in about 1983, and I think we are certainly the first school to have changed. Most of the universities are now changing from physical education departments to departments of human movement studies. And I think that's really what we're concerned about here, is taking hold of a variety of forms of human movement in the form of recreational and sporting activities, and making use of human movement, attempting to enrich the education of the whole person. By the whole person, I mean you're not purely trying to educate the physical person, which physical education implied, and that was totally wrong. You cannot separate the physical person from the emotional or spiritual person.
My name is Angus McIntosh, and I'm a CAC here at Michaelhouse in Baines House. CAC is a new boy. It's derived from the Greek word meaning lowest form of life. We are in fact the lowest form of life here at school. We have to, as a new boy, fag for a year for a cop that's a prefect. We have to clean his shoes, make his bed, and generally just be a servant for him.
Our chaps did say grace. What you're about
The rector and Babs Plook host every new boy to an informal chatty breakfast, establishing vital bonds with their new pupils.
So I think a lot of parents worry about a boarding school because they think that their children are leaving them, as you say. But in fact, we believe very strongly that we educate in concert with the parents. We can never educate without parent involvement. I don't mean interference, I mean involvement, very real involvement. They give us their children after 13 years of life with the parent. We can't exclude and don't intend to exclude parents. And so always when parents meet with me before their sons come to the school, I make this point very clearly, that we are going to educate throughout their time at Michaelhouse with the parents.
There are few more lovely playing fields in Africa. Michaelhouse has a proud record of cricket Springboks who conquered bat and ball at this very oval. Ozzie Dawson, Les Payne, Alan Melville, Tufty Mann, Derek Varnels, Kim Elgie, Chris Berger and Henry Fotheringham. Surely the list will grow as future generations strive for their own brand of success. An exchange master from Britain's Arundel Public School is Graham Wood.
One of the biggest differences between here and England, of course, is the weather. Here one can spend so much more time outdoors, and the boys here play every sport that you've ever heard of, and a good many that I haven't ever heard of until I came here. But it's not just the sporting side of things, they're involved in a lot of other things as well. And I've come into contact with the History Society, and also the International Affairs Society, the Bridge Club. There are lots of things going on to interest the boys here. But compared with England, more goes on outside, and perhaps the indoor activities are rather less. But I think that's a minor point. It's a question of priorities, in a sense. And with the weather as it is, it's just great getting outside for so much of the time.
every boy while they're at Michaelhouse should make a trip to Intezam. They would start at about 4 o'clock in the morning, and by daybreak they'd come over the hill down into the Umgeni Valley. They'd cross the valley, which often in summer is in flood, and then they would trudge onwards to this mountain which looms ahead, and they would arrive there at about 10 o'clock in the morning. Then there's this slog to the top, this 300 or 400 meters, which is a real crunch for them, but they make it, and then would have to be back in school by 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, in that space for your name up there, no one's ever going to know you are.
Like, you know, I've heard of how you put your name up on that trig beacon over there, and, you know, the wonderful view that you get from out here, and stuff like that, and, you know, it's just all so fresh and clean up here.
Now, what happens at Michaelhouse is that the Board of Governors make available money so that people can, in fact, make a visit to a place, any place in the world, to study an aspect of education which they feel that could be implemented here at Michaelhouse. So 1985 took my wife and myself to Britain. We visited schools such as Gordonston and the Outward Bound schools. And from that, I was able to devise a course which we implemented in 1986 for our Standard 7 boys, our D Block boys. Now this involves elements of climbing, map reading, compass work, skin diving, canoeing, handling themselves in the outdoors, backpacking, how to set up camp. And we brought in about 9 members of staff who could teach the boys these basic aspects. After the boys have done their basics regarding how to handle themselves in a camp, in the second quarter, they're in fact sent out on an overnight camp where we've equipped them with rucksacks, sleeping bags, and we make use of the broader Michaelhouse environment, so that there's a piece of bush in the area here where they would go off and camp overnight.
The whole aspect of Christian faith has been emphasized in a different way, I think, in the last few years, where there's been an openness and not so much compulsion. And I enjoy that. I enjoy imparting the faith, teaching the faith to these children. It's exciting, because young people are excited, and it's good to be involved in their lives, that we're going to teach them, and the values that we instill in them are going to be the ones that set them for their lives ahead, so that they can go out into this country with something to offer, so that they can build up a new society and that's something marvelous. Michaelhouse is the diocesan college of Natal Diocese, and so I am licensed, as is the rector, by the Bishop of Natal. Then too, to the care of the boys. The day-to-day care of boys is really taken by the housemasters themselves, and they really look after boys as a father would, because they are in loco parentis. They are the child's parent while he is away from home. And they look after him with all the little things that happen in his life, down to his laundry, his sport, to see what he's doing. They keep a check on his work, see how many leaves he's taking a term, and keep in touch with his parents. And that's what a school like this is about, I think, is that there's that individual care, because each child is important. And no matter how bright he is, how much he struggles at work, each one's important, each one's an individual. And that's what we're looking for in this school.
I'm Nick Barnes. I'm in B Block in Tatham House at Michaelhouse. I'm involved a lot with the individual interests which are offered here, particularly a project which I'm involved in at the moment, which is a readbook. I'm studying the readbook around the area of Michaelhouse in conjunction with the farmers. The master who is helping me mainly is Mr. Pixton. I'm getting a lot of encouragement from him. He's a member of the biology department. And what it mainly entails is actually studying, photographing, and observing the reedbuck around here, asking questions and sending out questionnaires to the local farmers, and just making a general study of the animals. I've also spoken to the Natal Parks Board about this project, and they have also shown some enthusiasm with regard to it. I would suppose it's part of a plan which Michaelhouse has, which is really just boys to be individual and widen their own horizons and scopes. The classes are very small, so that each master knows exactly the boys in his class very well, and the relationship is more personal, far more personal than in other schools. And the scope of interests which are offered and activities is far wider than at any other school that I know of. And so that the boys with varying interests are able to extend their horizons and become more involved in the subjects and activities which they enjoy.
The music group has been to St. Anne's, which is our sister school in the diocese, and we've also been to other schools like Hilton College and also Maritzburg College. We were invited down to St. Anne's with the chapel music group to come down and share in their worship with them. This is part of our contribution of what we have to give them, and as we come to share with them here. And it's one of the joys and blessings for all of us. It's part of our Christian response of going out. We're sent out. We're part of the Apostolic Church.
Some 35 societies cater for the widest divergence of tastes and interests, from gazing at the heavens to earthier pursuits. Few boys cannot find their own special niche in the school's activities.
Late entry, straight in at that entry without breaking the rhythm. The beat before 27. 1, 2, 3.
I've thought about that a lot.
and I just can't decide what to do.
Yeah,
I don't know what will suit me better in farming.
During a time that a boy spends here, which is usually 4 to 5 years, they drift in here quite a lot. The service is not compulsory at all. In Standard 7, in the D block, they would come in, discuss subject choices for matric, which is quite important because they have to then choose the right subject depending on what career they want to follow. Standard 8, they'll come and verify. You sometimes get the old boy who changes the subject, and this is discussed by me in consultation with the parents, the housemaster, the head of department. Standard 9, he's more consolidated, and we then try and work towards what kind of matric he's going to get, looking at, for example, if he wants to do a degree, he needs to get a specific percentage in a specific subject. By the time they get to matric, sometimes they change their mind. The process doesn't start all over because we've been gradually building up how to select, how to think, how to read. They come into the room, they look at the different pamphlets. We take them to universities to talk to the lecturers and the professors there. We take them, we give them a career symposium once a year in which we bring professional people up here to discuss their specific jobs. And then the boys can ask them questions. So the whole process is an ongoing process from the day a boy arrives here.
When we start talking about memories, we think of 3 kinds of memory. Can anyone remember what they are?
Sensory, short term and the long term.
The Michaelhouse sixth form year, or post-matric year, is a year which affords matriculants the opportunity to come back to Michaelhouse and spend a year studying either A-level or UNISA courses in order to bridge the gap between school and university. And in fact, statistics have shown that it is largely successful in that. We know that there is a high percentage of pupils, scholars, students who fail at first-year university level, and a chap who comes to Michaelhouse to do a post-matric year generally stands a considerably better chance of succeeding academically at university, and socially too, because the Michaelhouse sixth form year is not solely academic, it's a multifaceted year. There are many aspects to it. We look for the individual to get an all-round education, socially, culturally, physically, emotionally, and indeed spiritually.
I'm Andrew Clark. I'm a sixth former at my class. Sixth form is a year when most people are normally at varsity. Most of us have finished matric. It's called post-matric. You have a lot of free time. This is one of the things that is emphasized in sixth form, to think and to actually make up your mind about your future, your career. There's also lots of opportunities on the sporting side and on the leadership side of the school. As well as being a sixth former, I'm also a school prefect and a head of house in Tatham, and this is something that's been very beneficial to me personally because it's taught me a lot about handling people, about how to apply discipline effectively, and also feel that I've gained a lot from the experiences with boys of my own age and younger, in that there's a tremendous feeling of satisfaction from actively accomplishing something. You feel that by being able to run a house, by being able to organize things and keep people happy and motivated in your house, that you're really performing something useful and you're doing your part in the school.
Old boy Chick Henderson is a former Scottish rugby international, sports commentator and successful businessman.
I don't think it's only rugby. I think any sport brings out the best in a chap. I prefer personally team sports, and I think it's important that any young man at some stage in his career should know how important it is to play a team sport when your teammates rely on you and you rely on them, and the whole endeavour is towards winning the game. And if there's one weak link in the team, one person not pulling his weight, it means that you're probably going to lose the match. And I think it's the same in life, in business, in any career that you get into. The importance of team can never really be underestimated. But of course the life of a boy at Michaelhouse is only the beginning of his life as a member of the Michaelhouse community. Now this comprises all the people who live on the estate, all the teachers, the old boys, and the parents. And, you know, it's the start of an attitude of caring. For instance, the Michaelhouse community looks after the Zenzani Village Farm School, which has in fact more pupils than Michaelhouse itself. All the sons and daughters of the people who work at the school and those who come from the surrounding farms and areas, and they have a very good education.
Third-generation old boy Rob Falker is, amongst other things, the school's milkman.
Well, I guess that I'm steeped in the history of Michaelhouse in as much as my grandfather was there just after the turn of the century. Since then, I've had two uncles. Merrick left in 35 and Ernest in 36. And I was here in 57 to 61. And hopefully my son will start next year. Farming with black and white Frieslands, being the Hilton colours, does make one feel a little bit uncomfortable. But one can get red and white Frieslands.
Old Boys' Day is an important time for the entire community. The younger old boys take to the playing fields. Time to renew old friendships and remember days gone by. One of the most popular occasions on the sporting calendar, the Hilton Michaelhouse, a meeting of traditional rivals. Of our founder, James Cameron Todd, a man's tone, moral and spiritual as well as intellectual, is largely determined for life by his school.
We know you're going to love dipping into Stars of the Morning. And to pre-order, simply visit www.michaelhouse.org and scroll down to shop, where you'll be able to get your hands on your own copy.